New to VR180 or tired of fighting it? DaVinci Resolve 20 Studio is hands down the most capable package for professional 3D VR180 workflow. Edit, fusion VFX, color, spatial audio, all in one place. In this release, Blackmagic packed in a stack of VR180 specific tools, and we are going to cover every one of them through practical, hands-on demo, guided by an Emmy-winning immersive filmmaker. Well, technically by Kimchi. Here is the real mastermind behind the keyboard. There's also a fundamental workflow change you need to know if you care about speed and accuracy. Learning it now will save you hours later. VR180 beginners, perfect timing, nothing to unlearn. Professional, the new Pi9 will remove layer of workaround and make your life easier on every project. Camera choice doesn't matter. Canon EOS VR, V-RAPTOR, Qoocam 3 Ultra, or Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive, because master the VR180 and APMP encoding pipeline is what guarantees mass distribution across Vision Pro, Masterclass, TikTok Pico VR, YouTube, and the upcoming Android XR. We've got a lot of new features to cover, so let's dive right in. At the time of recording, I'm running DaVinci Resolve 20.1, which is the latest release. Most of the features I'm going to show you here will only work in version 20. So if you haven't already, now is a good time to upgrade. Before we start, let's quickly talk about stitching. You can stitch Canon EOS VR footage using the official Canon EOS VR utility, the SD Map workflow inside DaVinci Resolve Fusion, or SGO Mystica VR. They all have their pros and cons, but for simplicity, we will use the official Canon EOS VR utility to stitch everything in ProRes 422HQ, which gives us the highest quality and easiest integration into Resolve. If you prefer a free or alternative workflow, I've linked the other stitching method right here so you can choose what works best for you. Now, bring all your VR180 footage into Resolve. If you don't have any, don't worry, just download mine and follow along. Let's start by updating the project setting. Set the timeline resolution to 1496 by 1496 or 4320 by 4320, but more on that later. 4K timeline might seem unusual, but here's why. 1496 by 1496 is actually half of the 8K per eye resolution, which is how Apple calculates immersive video. So when you hear 8K per eye, that really means a total of 16K across both eyes, just like the URSA Cine immersive camera. In this tutorial, we're using the Canon R5C, which is 4K per eye or 8K in total, and that's why our timeline should be set to 4K, not 8K. And there is a practical reason for that as well. A 4K timeline runs twice as fast as an 8K one. Before Resolve 20, most VR180 timeline were unnecessarily set to 8K that waste processing power and often mean you don't get real-time playback. But that all changed now with this new workflow in Resolve 20, and that's exactly why I'm so excited to walk you through it. But there's one more important step before you move forward. We need to tell Resolve these are side-by-side stereo clips. To do that, select all the clips, right-click, choose Clip Attribute, and you will see a new setting called Stereoscopic mode. Stereoscopic just means 3D, for those of you who are new to immersive filmmaking world. Check that box, then select side-by-side. Resolve also support top and bottom format for 3D 260 video, but today we are focusing only on 3D 180. Drop a comment below if you want a separate tutorial on the new 3D 360 workflow. Now, all your clips are converted into 3D clips, but what you are seeing is just a primary eye, which is your left eye, but don't worry, all the stereo information is still there. Resolve is now stacking the data under the hood, similar to how MV-HEVC works, except you are still working with your raw source files. Go ahead and drop those clips into the timeline and head over to the color page. Now, you will see that the timeline is recognized as a 3D timeline, and the Resolve 3D panel is automatically active. Amazing. From here, turn on stereo mode in the vision panel. Under output setting, you have got your familiar anagraph black and white, anagraph color, and even a different map. a super powerful 3D viewing you normally only find in expensive tools like Mystical VR or Nuke X. This put Resolve light year ahead of Adobe Premiere when it comes to immersive editing. So if you are still paying those expensive annual fee for Premiere, it might be time to switch. Now let's fix the color because we are still looking at flat Canon log footage. The professional way to do that is not with the Canon LUT, but with Color Space Transform node in DaVinci Resolve. Here is a proper setup. Add 3 nodes in the first CST node, convert the Canon C-Log3 Cinema Gamut to DaVinci Resolve Y Gamut Intermediate. Then in your final output CST node, convert from DaVinci Y Gamut Intermediate to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. But if you are delivering for Apple Vision Pro, you will want to convert it to P3 T65 Rec 21000 SD 2084 HDR instead. Here's how to manage both. When rendering for Meta or YouTube VR, disable the Vision Pro output node. When rendering for Apple Vision Pro, Apple Immersive Video, disable the Rec 709 output node and enable the Vision Pro version. You can also move those 2 output color space nodes to the timeline level if you don't need to tweak adaptation setting per clip. And don't worry if that part just flew over your head. I will have a dedicated masterclass just for Apple Immersive Video color grading with the upcoming DaVinci Resolve Immersive Edition. We have another challenge here. 99% of color grading tutorial on YouTube assume you are delivering in SDR. That was true until Apple Vision Pro show up. Now, if you want to color grade for immersive HDR delivery, you need to invest in an HDR monitor. There's no way around it. And as you can see in my setup, I ran 2 monitors in the studio. One is calibrated for SDR Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, that is for Masterclass and YouTube VR delivery. The other one is the ASUS ProArt PA32UCDM, a true HDR reference monitor. Okay, I know that sounds like a podcast commercial break, but it's really not. This tutorial is not sponsored. We bought this monitor ourselves and ran intensive tests over the past few weeks. The truth is, there are only a handful of professional HDR monitors out there, and ProArt display is the only one under 2000. It uses the same QD OLED panel found in the high-end monitor from Flanders Scientific and Sony, which can cost $10,000 to $20,000. You have already spent a ton of money on your camera, software, and Vision Pro. The last thing you need is to drop another 10 grand just to monitor HDR correctly. So I'm just trying to save you money here. If you appreciate that kind of unsponsored, independent tutorial paid by no one except our amazing Patreon member, please consider subscribing on YouTube and Instagram and maybe become patron to help support Kimchi to get fat. Now, let me quickly demo why an HDR monitor matters. I will enable the Vision Pro output node, and right away, the image look washed out and ugly on my SDR monitor. Move the same feed back to my ProArt display, and at first, they still look the same, but then I switched the monitor preset to HDR PQ P3, which is factory calibrated to an accurate P3 T65 color space. All the menu overlay look go crazy now, but the image now look correct. We validate the result inside Apple Vision Pro and it look pretty close together. This is why an HDR reference monitor is essential for Apple Vision Pro color grading. And don't get tricked by the expensive Apple Pro Display XDR. That is a consumer monitor, great for watching HDR movie, but not built for professional color work. It's not factory calibrated, and worse, you can't calibrate it yourself like you can with the ProArt. Again, I will go deeper into this in my upcoming masterclass, including how to get a clear HDR feed out of DaVinci Resolve without Apple Display color pipeline mess up everything up. But for now, let's turn off the Vision Pro output node right here and focus on delivering to Masterclass or YouTube VR as a standard VR180 video. 3D color match. Let's now talk about a necessary but often overlooked step, matching color and exposure between your left and right lens. First, you can switch which eye you are viewing by going to Stereo 3D eye, watch the 3D label on each clip. Left eye is marked as red and the right eye is marked in blue. That's how you can visually confirm which eye you are looking at in the timeline. Now, as you toggle between them, you might notice a common problem that rarely gets discussed in the VR180 world: a difference in color and exposure between the eyes. If you are a professional colorist step into the VR180 world, that is your job to fix, because mismatched eye can cause real discomfort in stereo 3D viewing. So why does this happen? Even with a dual fisheye system on the same image sensor, like the Canon EOS VR right here, or the Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive, slight difference in exposure can occur depending on your lighting setup or how the lenses are aligned related to your light source. So let's fix it. First, I will show you how to do it manually, just so you understand what happened under the hood. Make sure you're on the primary node and click the link icon to disconnect the left and right eye. Now select the right eye and you can adjust it independently. For example, you might increase the gain slightly to match the left eye. This works, but hard to get perfectly right. So unless you absolutely have to, manual adjustment should be your last resort. Fortunately, Resolve gives us a much easier and smarter way to do that. Undo the manual change and link the eyes back together. Now compare both eyes. In this case, I like how the left eye look, so I want to match the right eye to it. Select the right eye, then go to the primary panel and use the feature called Primary Control Stereo Color Match. This tells Resolve to analyze everything in the primary section, lift, gamma, and gain, and apply color correction to match the selected eyes to the other. It's fast, and as you can see, the result is really good. 99% of the time, Primary Control Stereo Color Match is the only button you need to press. If you still notice a slight shift, especially toward the edge of the lens, like right here, Resolve has two more advanced matching options: Custom Curve Match and Dense Match. Let's reset the node and try Custom Curve Match. In this example, it actually makes things worse, so we reset it again and try Dense Match. Dense Match works frame by frame. It's extremely slow, but usually give more precise result over time in checking lighting condition. But again, Primary Control Stereo Color Match is fast, accurate, and more than enough for vast majority of VR180 projects. And it's miles ahead of what you can find in Premiere or Final Cut, where native stereo color matching tool doesn't even exist yet. Color grading in 3D. Another huge benefit of doing things this way instead of how we used to work in Resource 19 is in color grading. In VR180 color grading, you always want your adjustment to match perfectly between your left and right eye. So now, after the primary match node, go ahead and add a secondary node. When you push the color wheel in the node, you will see that both the left and right eye receive the exact same adjustment. That's exactly what we want. This becomes even more important when you are starting doing local or secondary correction, like using power window. Let's add a power window around Kitty here and do a quick secondary adjustment to help her pop out from the background. And here is the magic. The power window is automatically applied to both eyes with the correct 3D disparity. You no longer have to do the same masking work twice like we used to with side-by-side workflow. This saves so much time and reduces all the repetitive work in 3D color grading. VFX in 3D. Now that we have a proper stereo timeline, we can do things that a regular timeline simply cannot, like inserting a 2D logo into 3D lens space or combining 2D video directly in 3D. Here's a regular 2D video clip of kimchi. If I right-click it and go to the new Stereoscopic 3D menu, I can convert it to Stereoscopic. Now you will see this 2D video is labeled with the 3D icon. Pretty cool, right? Just to be clear, we are not using AI to convert depth here. We are simply telling Resolve to treat this clip as stereoscopic so we can composite it correctly inside the 3D timeline. Now, if I drop in a spatial video clip like the lazy kimchi shot from the iPhone 16 Pro Max right here, it's already 3D. Go to the color page and switch your stereo vision mode to grab black and white. You will see that the clip already has depth, but the convergency is off. It doesn't look like it belongs in the VR180 space. That's easy fix though. Just select the spatial video clip and adjust the convergency value until it visually fits into the scene. Now, you can composite any 2D or 3D spatial assets into your VR180 stereo timeline and have it feel properly placed in 3D space. Most of the time, you will only need to composite something like text or a 2D logo. So let's delete this spatial video for now and bring in a simple 2D kimchi logo. Resize the logo to be very small and place it right in the center of the frame. Remember, this is a 8K 180 video inside the headset. Everything looks much bigger than on a flat screen, so logo should be tiny and centered to avoid fisheye distortion. Now, head back to the color page. If you haven't already, turn on Anagraph view and put on your 3D glasses. Adjust the convergence until it looks natural in 3D. And now, the kimchi logo appeared to be floating in front of the chateau over the river with Kitty looking at it. Amazing. You can use the same method to add any 2D text or graphic. I have downloaded a free graphic pack from Motion VFX and drop in this oldie but goldie title. Change the title to whatever text you want. Again, keep it small and centered to avoid distortion. Then, just like before, adjust the convergence in the color page to place the text comfortably in 3D. Make sure to check it in a 2D glasses. But what if you want to position a larger element or place your text away from the center, like a lower third in the corner right here? Well, in that case, this simple workflow actually wouldn't work because the color page isn't fisheye aware. To composite directly in true VR180 space, you will need to do this in the Fusion page. So let's jump over to Fusion now. You will see 2 media in and 2 media out nodes, one for each eyes. In the viewer window, click the menu in the top right and scroll down to 360-degree view. There's a new option called VR180. Select that. You can now hold down Option and middle mouse drag to look around, just like how you would in 360 view. Let's quickly build a simple 180 logo insert right here. If you have followed my older Fusion tutorial, this should be very familiar for you. Grab the new LED long patcher node. You will see it now has a new mode called Apply 180. Select that. The kimchi logo will now appear correctly in 180 space. Merge it in and send the viewer to media out 1, which is the left eye. If you adjust the X value in the LED long patcher node now, you will see the logo move across the scene and distort correctly based on the lens. And that's also how you turn kimchi into a chihuahua.
How dare you, Hugh!
Switch back to VR180 view mode, you will see the result more clearly. The logo is now placed properly in the 180 space. Very cool! Here's my new node tree structure to get 3D graphic insert in both left and right eye with correct stereo alignment and adjustment in Anagraph view. This is fully 3D VR180 fisheye aware, and you can use a Masterclass to see it if you are on a PC. We are really just scratching the surface here. Fusion 20 now supports VR180 inside keynotes like LED long patcher, panel map, spherical camera, and spherical stabilizer. This means for the first time ever, you can stabilize your VR180 footage directly inside DaVinci Resolve without relying on Canon EOS VR utility or expensive tool like Masterclass or Nuke. And that is a game changer. If Fusion in VR180 sounds intimidating, don't worry. It used to be, if you saw my older tutorial, you know how complicated it is. But now, thanks to the new stack view metadata and the native VR180 workflow, Fusion has become a lot easier. You can pull off complex 3D composition with far fewer nodes. It literally gives you superpower, like what only high-end new artists had access to. And the best part? Fusion is completely free. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss your next beginner-friendly masterclass on Fusion for VR180. For now though, don't overwhelm yourself. Practice what you have just learned and we will come back to Fusion later. Final step, export. We are going to use the QuickTime.mov format with the H.265 codec. Make sure your export resolution and frame rate match your timeline setting. In the Stereoscopic 3D section right here, which is new for stereo timeline, open the drop-down menu and right here, select both eye and MV-HEVC. You can include spatial metadata right here, but it's optional. Now hit render and you will get a single MV-HEVC.mov file. This file can now be played back locally in my Spatial Film app in highest quality Immersive 180. Just make sure you select a 180 node inside the app right there and it will play correctly. I have also provided the final file for download so you can test it yourself on your Vision Pro using our free Spatial Film app. But keep in mind, this MV-HEVC file is not yet an APMP file or Apple Projected Media Profile format. It's technically a spatial video, so it will play in 3D inside your photo app, but not in fully immersive mode. And it wouldn't play on YouTube VR or Masterclass because they do not support MV-HEVC. Also, if you're on a PC, you won't even see the MV-HEVC option. This is a Mac-only feature. So, at the time of recording, we still need a workaround to export a version that works across all platforms. This should be fully resolved though with the upcoming immersive edition of DaVinci Resolve, which will ship with your URSA Cine immersive camera or possibly in the next Resolve 20 public update. Until then, here is a tiny workaround. First, we will render both eyes as separate files. This time, use Apple ProRes 422 as the codecs. These files will serve as intermediate render or even as master file if you are delivering it to platforms like Netflix or Disney. Now, create a new timeline, uncheck Use Project Setting, and manually set the resolution to 8192 by 1496, a 2:1 ratio. Make sure mismatch resolution is set to center crop with no resizing. Bring in both your left and right eye render and stack them on top of each other. Then set the left eye position X to minus 4096 and the right eye position X to positive 4096. There you go. Now you have a proper VR 180 side-by-side video. Now go back to the export page. This time, we will render the release version for YouTube VR and Masterclass. Use MP4 as the format and H.265 as the codec for the best quality in the smallest file size. Set your timeline resolution and frame rate to 8192 by 4096 and restrict the bitrate to 80 megabits per second. This gives you excellent quality across all major headsets. Since this is your release version, make sure you enable multi-pass encoding and disable optimize for speed. These two settings are extremely important for VR 180 delivery. The render will take longer now, but the quality boost is absolutely worth it. No one else is talking about this because I haven't shared this secret just yet, but I'm sure after this video, you will see copycat pop up everywhere. That's okay, just remember who brought it to you first. Defend Kimchi's hard work and help us keep making high quality tutorials like this one free for everyone. Now open the Google VR 180 Creator tool. If you don't have it yet, I'll provide a free download link in the description down below. When you have installed it, open the app and select Prepare for Publishing. Drop in the video you just rendered and click Export. This will inject the correct VR 180 metadata for all platforms. People still ask me why their VR 180 video don't work on YouTube VR. This is the missing step. The new file will now work on Masterclass, Pico, and most standalone VR headsets. But if you want to play it on Apple Vision Pro as an immersive APMP video on Vision OS 26 or above, there's one more step. First, make sure your Mac OS is updated to the version 26 Tahoe or later. Then, right-click on the injected MP4 file. This is the one from the VR 180 Creator tool, not the raw resource render. We do need the Google injected metadata for this to work. From the menu, select Encode Selected Video File, then choose MV-HEVC 4320p. It will generate a new MV-HEVC.mov file with full metadata injected. Now just airdrop this file to your Vision Pro right here and it will play back as a true APMP immersive video format with progressive immersion, spatial audio, and the highest image quality possible. APMP is by far the best way to showcase your VR 180 content as long as you follow every step I have shown you in here in this video. If you have made it this far, congratulations! You have just unlocked a complete professional workflow for VR 180 in DaVinci Resolve 20. And trust me, this is only the beginning. In the next video, I'll teach you all the new VR180 feature in DaVinci Resolve Fusion 20. You will learn how to build a new node tree structure and placing 2D and 3D graphics directly inside Immersive 180 space. I will show you a free alternative fisheye stitching workflow that let you hit higher quality level in 8640 by 4320 resolution. I will cover how to stabilize Canon or Qoocam 3 Ultra VR180 video to maximize comfort level in headset viewing and dive deep into the new metadata stack view in Fusion. This is the backbone for immersive editing in the upcoming DaVinci Resolve Immersive Edition and for the Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive camera. But this isn't going to be one of those promotional survey level demos sponsored by Apple or Blackmagic. As a filmmaker who actually used the camera on a client job, who has been creating immersive content for over a decade and who bought the URSA Cine Immersive with my own money, this Masterclass series will give you everything you hope for. No flood, just real tool, tested and working. Whether you are a Canon EOS VR shooter or the URSA Cine Immersive camera owner, you will walk away empowered. So, if you found this tutorial valuable, give it a thumb up, leave a comment down below, and tell Kimchi what kind of fusion trick you want to see next. Subscribe if you haven't already, make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Click right here to watch the Fusion 20 deep dive right now, or right here to see one of our original VR180 production and get inspired. Thank you again for watching. I will see you in Spatial. Ciao!